Hello, Miriam. Tom Patterson from Chicago.
Hi, Tom. Good to have you joining us.
Yes, looking forward to it.
Good, good,
Let
good.
me get this on mute so you don't pick
Oh.
up the kids.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi there.
Hi, Jenna. Oh, it's Maudie. I just saw you. Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing, Maudie? Eh,
I'm still not well. I'm going to have the COVID antibody test on Tuesday.
Oh, gosh, because it came up negative, right?
My test came up negative,
Yeah.
but because I'm not getting any better, they want to know if it was COVID.
Yeah.
I didn't
Well,
have in the nose one. I had throat one.
uh-huh.
And we're also dealing with a very ill dog.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Maudie.
It's kind of tough right now.
Yeah.
I'll put myself on mute unless everybody wants to say hi.
We'll go, hi.
Tom Patterson needs to show his tiny face. There he is.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Hi, Pat.
Pat, are we going to see Jeannie?
Yeah, she's going to be on a separate computer because I have to use my I get better quality if I use this little headset here. So,
Yeah.
hi, Tom Patterson. I haven't seen you in a while.
Hi, Pat. Yeah, we were out there about 3 weeks ago. I think we missed you, but we'll be back out in December, and all my kids have continued to be out there off and on.
Hi, Mike and Colleen. How are you doing, Colleen? You're on mute. There comes Darius. Hi, Darius.
Presidential election, nearly a quarter of all
And here she comes.
Mhm.
Hi, all. Bye, all.
Hi, everybody. Maudie, hi.
Hi, how are you? There's Valerie. Hi, Miss Valerie.
Greetings. Isn't this amazing that we can all gather from all over? I'd rather like to,
Yes, John
yeah,
Loomis is on, but I don't see him.
he's coming.
So let's wait a few minutes because it's just one now and people are still coming on. So wait a couple more minutes before we get going.
Hi, Leslie.
You're muted, Leslie.
Mute.
Hello, everybody.
Howdy.
Bill, hi, Jen.
Mhm.
Mike and Colleen.
Hi, Micah, Colleen. Haven't seen you guys for a long time.
Jenna, you're muted. We should all unmute and just say a hi and then mute.
Hi, everyone. I'm in Broadus, Montana in a park.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah.
What's in Broadus, Montana?
Not
My
much.
way back to on the way back to Big Sky.
Ah.
So driving.
Tell your boyfriend I got his email and I just haven't felt well enough to respond.
What's going on? Why don't you feel well?
We don't know.
Oh.
Well, Marty.
Oh, somebody else.
That's me. Hold on.
I will tell him, and I hope you feel better.
No,
This might be too loud with.
I don't want to be so close.
We're up to 18.
Hi, Rod.
Of us.
Whoa. Beautiful.
We're up to 18. Let's see if we get any more in the next minute or two,
She
and then
just
we'll get going here.
She's not well and I can't figure out what it is.
I don't see everybody here. I only have 9.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. That's maybe the limit on the iPad.
I'm on an iPad.
I'm on my iPhone.
On your phone. Okay.
Is this Jan?
If you
Yes.
can't see everybody, there might be an arrow you push and then it changes the screen. So then you can see people that way.
Valerie is our tech person.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
If I'm your tech person, you're in trouble.
You said just scroll through?
Yes, you can, yes.
Yeah,
Just-
but not, that
Yeah,
just
you
blanks
Scroll
the screen.
too.
The other thing,
Oh, there are some people. Yeah.
the only
If
other
you want to
thing,
see everybody, just go to the upper right-hand corner and where it says either speaker view or gallery view, then you can, gallery view will show you everybody at once.
right. And down below where it says chat, you can chat with people on the side or ask questions of people when you're muted. And there's a reaction button and you can go like that.
Okay, so let's start the meeting, and if anybody else comes on, that's fine. John Loomis, we can't see you. Is that on purpose?
It is. I was eating lunch. Thank you. You don't want to see
So
me.
are we, but we don't care.
Lots and beer.
Should put Trish on.
All right. So, well, I was welcome everybody, and I'm trusting that everybody can see everybody now, so that everybody knows who's here. And thanks for tuning into this. Like the email said, you know, usually we were out in the backyard and we were having a brat and maybe a beer or a soft drink, and mostly it was a picnic, and that was what was fun about it. And then we, from time to time, threw in a little bit of business, but this year it's going to be kind of the opposite: no food, no drink, and mostly business. But when we were deliberating about this, whether to do it or not, we pretty much decided, yeah, we should do it because it's an update on what's going on, and a lot has been going on, and we haven't been connected, a lot of us, very often. So today is mostly a business meeting. Let me just say that a few rules of the road. If you're not speaking or asking a question, stay muted, would you please? And then we won't have any interference back and forth. I assume everybody's pretty familiar with Zoom. I mean, you know that you can get that little bar down at the bottom. If it doesn't show, you can get it by moving your mouse down there. And that's where you're going to find the mute button, the video button. The participants, I don't know if everybody knows, but if you click on participants over on the right, there'll be a list of everybody who's here. So if you want to see that, you can. There's the chat button. If you click on the chat button, see, I clicked on the chat button. You can type a note to people. I just clicked on my chat button and I didn't get a list of people. Let me see. Oh, participants there. Okay, there. Okay, everybody's there. And then you can hit the chat button. And down at the bottom, the default place is you can send a message to everyone. But if you don't want to, you can click that little arrow and you can pick out who you want to send it to. And today we're gonna do, just a minute, I lost my ear. Today we're gonna do two sessions, presentations, and we're gonna have two question and answer periods. So you can, I think with this many of us, probably the best thing to do is as your question occurs to you and as you have the inclination to do it, type out a question. And for example, Miriam's going to start, and when she does, at the end of that, we'll have a Q&A. And if you have a question there, we'll just go through them. If that doesn't work for you, when we get to the Q&A, you can raise your hand and do this, and we'll find you. So the other thing we're going to do today, I think Miriam's going to do it. I'm going to do it for sure. We're going to share our screen. That means we're going to put up some, I've got some charts and graphs, you know, that's what I like to do. And so I'm going to put those up so that everybody can see them at some point. So, and I'm going to do it right now because I want to show you the agenda. So this is what it'll look like. And if when I share the screen, I think I would do a slideshow so that that is what you'll see some of the time, and that way it's clear without all of the pictures in the way. But this is our agenda for the day, so we're pretty much done with welcoming and Zoom rules, but this is the agenda. Pastor Miriam is going to start with an opening in a minute, and then she has a report that she is prepared to present. And then after that, we'll stop for questions and answers and discussion as it goes. And after we're finished with that, I'll do a 7-month financial update, and we'll do another Q&A after that, and then a closing. And then let me get out of here and out of here. I think I have to. I got to figure out how to get back to. What is everybody seeing right now? Anybody?
We're seeing the Zoom meeting agenda, and we can see the 4 slides next to it. Would you like some help with presenting the slides?
No,
I just got the gallery shot of everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, I just had to end the sharing, so that's what I did. So I think we're back to where we were, and so I turn it over to Pastor Miriam for the opening, and then you can just go right ahead with your report if you like.
All right. Well, first of all, I want to welcome everybody here, and I'm so glad that you took some time to join us today to see where things are at. I've had an opportunity to have meetings with some of you quite a bit and to talk with a lot of folks over Zoom. and most recently had a meeting with Pat Miller and Jenna. And one of the things that came out of that was Jenna recognizing the importance of staying connected during this time. And we've been trying to do that in a variety of ways. And this is just one other opportunity for us to stay connected as a congregation, and then also find ongoing ways that we stay connected to the folks that aren't necessarily going to join this Zoom meeting today, but are still members and friends of our congregation, and also the community beyond our congregation. But I'm going to open us with two prayers, and I'm going to actually show one of these prayers for those that want to read along. I thought we would begin with a prayer for our world, and then we'll pray for our meeting. So please, let's take a moment of quiet and enter into a time of prayer. Oh God, in our global distress, we pray earnestly to you. God, our sanctuary, gather us when separated into your presence. God, our physician, heal those who have contracted the virus. God, our comforter, embrace all who mourn the dead. God, our homeland, mother all who are quarantined. God, our friend, accompany all who are alone or afraid. God, our guardian, protect physicians and nurses. God, our hope, assist researchers searching for a vaccine. God, our mighty fortress, preserve our societies from devastation. God, our governor, guide the leaders of nations toward wise policies. God of everlasting arms, in you we live and move and have our being. God, our creator, make once again a world of Sabbath rest. God, our Savior, redeem our suffering world by your cross. God, our light, shine your radiant peace into our darkness. O God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, bless and preserve us. Amen. And now I want to offer a short prayer for our meeting. Almighty God, you have called us to labor in your vineyard, and without you we can do nothing. Grant your gracious presence at this meeting, that what we do will build up your whole church. Led by your Spirit, govern and direct us that we may consult together peacefully, pleasing you with all that we say and do, through Jesus Christ, our Savior and Lord. Amen. Well, thank you for joining in prayer with me. And I'm going to now shift to a different screen share. And I'm going to pull up a report for those of you that like to see things as well as hear them. I'll talk through this pastor's report, and we'll also make this available later if you want to see it. But you should see this right now. All right. Well, so summer congregational meeting, pastor's report for today. I thought what I'd do is I'd start with talking about highlights for January through March. And there are other things that probably could have been included here, but I thought we should highlight a few things that have happened. One of the exciting things that happened back in January was that 6 child acolytes were trained, and they were participating really regularly in Sunday worship leadership. And a few special worship services happened in February. We held a midweek cold and evening prayer service and 2 Ash Wednesday services with a total of 50 attendees for those Ash Wednesday services. And that had been the most that had come to our Ash Wednesday services. So it was wonderful to have those. Our Small Saints program continued its second winter of Sunday morning children's programming, and our Godly Play After School program completed our fourth winter season. We held multiple adult forums and Bible studies and a new members class, and there was a successful Mardi Gras dinner that the community involvement group organized and worked together with a number of organizations in town and with the Wilson Hotel for the international workers. I was able to attend a synodical stewardship workshop with both our senior warden and our council president. And I continue to serve on two synodical committees, the Northern Rockies Institute of Theology and the Montana Synod's Candidacy Committee. And then I have continued to make regular rounds of the Big Sky Medical Center as their on-call spiritual care provider or chaplain. And then, as all of you know, March 15th marked our last in-person worship service. And that morning, we found out that the resort had made a decision to close at the end of that day. And over the course of the next few days and weeks, subsequent stay-at-home orders were issued in Montana. And since that date, there has been a need to adapt to all of the shifting realities that have been posed by COVID-19. And so I now want to highlight what's been happening in that time. What, between March and the end of July, especially, what's been going on? Well, the Joint Council, far from lessening its work, doubled its work and began meeting every 2 weeks via Zoom to assess our situation. And worship moved online, and we held worship online from March 22nd through June 21st. I want to definitely lift up Bonnie Eichenberger and Ann Shader-Basheen and other volunteer readers and musicians. And we produced a weekly order for worship at home, a recorded homily, music and readings that were sent out each week and then throughout Holy Week. We transferred some of the things that we've been doing to Zoom, so Bible studies, adult forums. We held some on Holy Communion, anti-racism, suicide awareness and prevention. And we held worship committee meetings online via Zoom. And for a couple of months in April and May, we offered an opportunity for congregational check-in and prayer, and a variety of different people used that opportunity during those 2 months. We started a Friday opportunity for morning prayer via Zoom, and that has continued. Small Saints moved online, so our program, our Sunday morning program for children from April through June. And a task force was convened in April and May, and it met a number of times during those months to help develop a plan for resuming in-person worship when that was feasible. And then that happened. Outdoor in-person worship began after a lot of discussion from both the task force, but also the Joint Council. It began again on June 28th. We continued to provide online worship resources for a couple of weeks and then transitioned to a Zoom link so that those who remained at home in July and now into August have been able to access either the service in real time or watch it recorded later on in the week. We've been trying to upload that recording to our YouTube channel by Sunday evening. There's been a few hiccups with that, but for the most part, it's been working. Joint Council members throughout this whole time period made some very impressive attempts to contact every All Saints member or friend 3 times over the course of that time period via phone or email. And during that time, my pastoral visits and conversations took place exclusively online and by phone until about June. And then I have started to try to make some of those visits outside and also take walks with people, along with continued phone calls with folks that aren't yet comfortable being in person. And then I have also had increased numbers of meetings with clergy colleagues, both on the Episcopal side and the Lutheran side since the start of the pandemic, along with check-ins with the bishops' offices. Obviously, the bishop's offices have been trying to support all of the clergy. The clergy has been trying to support each other. And we're all trying to make some pretty serious decisions, and those decisions aren't over yet. So I've been grateful for that, but those meetings have definitely added up. So that's what's been going on through July. And then also to take note that while VBS couldn't take place this year because of the pandemic, we were able to send 2 of our kids to a week-long middle school age camp at Christicon, and they both brought a cousin. So we have a few representatives of All Saints who were able to go to Christicon, which was the only camp that ran regular programming this summer that we're closely connected with. And now as we look toward the fall, it's unclear what will be possible as far as in-person events of any kind. There's an ongoing need to assess the safety of future in-person indoor worship in that move, whenever we will have to make the move indoors. What will be possible with respect to faith formation for children and youth, and also any small group meeting, whether that's a committee meeting or whether that's a educational meeting. And so just to lay out what I see as some of my priorities for the remainder of 2020, they include continue leading and encouraging our congregation in our implementation of the Led by the Spirit strategic plan with our 6 overall goals. And those goals are related to worship, Christian education and formation, our ecumenical congregation, community engagement, outreach, and stewardship. And there were 24 specific objectives under those goals. While we need to keep those overall goals at the core of our work together, we may need to revise specific objectives and action steps based on the realities we face during this pandemic. There are certainly things that we thought we would be able to do that at least right now we can't do. But there may be other ways to accomplish those goals. We also need to continue planning toward a phase 3 opening, or conversely, added restrictions if COVID conditions worsen in Montana. So that's some of the work of the Joint Council and may require a special task force to start again as we think about what's going to happen when phase 3 begins. We are in conversation about enhancing our capabilities for video streaming worship for those unable to attend in person, and also provide online opportunities for everyone if in-person worship would need to be suspended once again. I hope to engage multiple adults and children in worship leadership, whether that is in person or online, and encourage staying up to date on our financial support, whether that's via mail-in giving or online giving when attending in-person worship isn't possible. I hope to involve as many new and old members as possible in our stewardship campaign this fall, and assess our outreach giving possibilities and make decisions with our outreach committee and maybe with others in the congregation about how we can best use our resources to make a difference, especially in this time. I continue to want to offer and encourage participation in online Christian education and formation opportunities, Bible studies, forums, and whenever it's possible, again, in-person opportunities. And then, of course, to reach out via phone and email and through in-person meetings when those are possible to provide pastoral care for members and friends of All Saints. And I think underneath all of that is this really deep question that I'm going to keep on raising. It's a question that I'm pondering, but I think it's a question that the larger church is pondering, and I hope that we are pondering as a congregation. What does it mean to be church during a pandemic? And we ask that question understanding that there is no simple return to normal. Even if there are certain things that return to what we'd like to call normal in the months ahead, I really do believe that we're undergoing a shift in this pandemic, and there will be expectations that have shifted. And part of that is, a simple example of that is maybe expectations that we will provide online opportunities for people that can't be in person. I don't think that's going to go away. And I believe that there are other pretty deep impacts that this pandemic may have, depending on how long it lasts. So how do we be church during this time? I mean, it can sometimes feel like a weight, but certainly it's also a great opportunity. So I'm gonna pull away from this sharing. And I did not zoom in. I'm sorry, Marielle. Were you able to see any of that? Any of you?
A little.
A little bit? A little bit.
Yes.
All right.
All of it.
All of it. Okay. So you just kind of pulled it right close to your face. But I'd love to take some questions now. Questions about whether, what we did earlier this year, what we've been doing during the last number of months, and as we look into the fall. I would love your questions. And if you want to, I don't see anything that's been written down yet, but if you just want to raise your hand, I can call on you and you can ask those verbally. Mari?
For those of us who are doing this by Zoom every week,
Yeah.
could you include in the newsletter what you put in your bulletin so that we can say the prayers?
Yeah.
To, please.
Mari, you're just the second person that told me I should do that. So I'm really grateful for that reminder, and we will figure out a way to make that available. We just need to figure out the best way to send that out.
Well, I think you could PDF it and just send it with the news.
Okay, that's a great idea, and also we may be able to link it to when we eventually save and post it as a YouTube video later. So thank you for that.
I also want to say I think you've done a remarkable job of adapting to a very terrible situation. And I'm glad you have, because I like coming to church.
Thanks, Mari. I appreciate it. Thank you. Other questions?
I've got one. This is Tom. This is a selfish question.
Tom.
We may be out, we plan to be out there in December again. And I know this question is premature because you haven't decided just in what form we'll be, indoors or what, but we will be in the need of possibly a baptism of a 1-year-old. And again, right now, the cathedral, we're not doing baptisms yet because we want to do it in community. But I hope that in your plans for indoors, when winter comes, that if there's a time when there are going to be baptisms, we'd love to know.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks for that. I will say that it's a pretty important question, and it will be hugely dependent on where things are in terms of health and safety right now. But I think it's wonderful that there's a baptism on the horizon. But please be in conversation with me, and hopefully in the next couple of months. So not just when you come out here. Other questions? I think Grant has a question. You want to unmute yourself, Grant?
I couldn't find the button. When we have our readings now, we're missing the little synopsis of the readings that we used to have in the bulletin, and I find that valuable. I know that you've got that piece of paper that tries to track who's there, which is fine, but maybe we could put it on the back or something. Anyway, I missed that part of our program.
Thanks, Grant. That's those do get in the Friday news, but they probably aren't that helpful in the Friday news. They'd be more helpful in the bulletin. So
yes,
thanks for that.
I agree.
Other questions or thoughts? I think I saw another hand or two. I think I'll just say one more thing that, oh, yes, Grant has another question.
It's kind of another thought, but
Yeah.
we've got a lot of extra people in town now. Some of them are here because they're trying to be in a safer area because of the virus. I was wondering, is there a way that we can better advertise how people can go online and check out our service? And I don't remember seeing it in the newspaper, but I think it would be a valuable thing for people because, you know, some people are having trying times now. And I think some people would find it useful. Not that they necessarily want to be a member, but they just might find some value.
That's a great point, Grant. And I don't know if anybody else has heard the numbers in terms of, you know, the numbers for the public school admission, but we definitely have new families in this town with children, and we have members of the community that were part-time members who are becoming full-time members. And Grant has just a great point to say, how do we get ourselves known more? And how do we also reach out in whatever ways we can reach out, which are difficult right now, to figure out what needs our neighbors might have in this community? So thank you for that, Grant. Yes, Valerie.
I've seen signs out in front of churches that they've put out that tell you how you can join online. So I don't know what the chapel feels about that, but if everybody, you know, that might be something to consider, not as a permanent thing, but just during this, because that building is where people might look. That's one thought. Also putting it in Lookout and some other things might be great.
Yeah, Cindy and Darius.
I just want to think, I've been reflecting on the church in trying times, and the church seems to grow in its intensity, not necessarily in numbers, during trying times. You think of East Germany, the churches were very small, but they were very alive before the wall. And then when they get comfortable, they get fat and they don't get as intense. So I think this is a wonderful time for us as a church to really understand what it means to be people of faith. So this is an opportunity to really search that out in, I think, marvelous ways. I don't have answers, but that's all.
Thanks, Darius.
Miriam, I'd like to make a comment on Valerie's suggestion regarding signs. Certainly something could be posted like on the doors of the chapel, but we're pretty restricted by covenants upon what we could put out as far as signage. We'd even looked at having a low intensity electronic sign that could be, you know, changed dynamically and provide crawl messages and whatever. And at this point, we're not able to do that because of covenants on the property, but certainly stuff could be posted at the building itself if people wanted to look there.
There is on the post in front of the chapel, there is a sign that lists all the service times for in person. I wonder if Diane could add to that.
Yeah, that's pretty small. I would think we could certainly add something temporarily somewhere where it's readily visible too.
I'm on the BSOA board just to reiterate what Mike said, but I think you could ask for an exemption from the size of the sign during this crisis, and that might be looked at favorably. Not a permanent sign, but some sign that we could put that information on. So I don't think we necessarily have to be restricted. We would have to go through the BSOA though.
Well, I think the point is, just a second, Monty, the point is made that what we are trying to do is better advertise not only in-person worship when that's possible, but also the links to our online worship. And so what we can do is try to figure out if there are ways to do at the chapel, potentially in conversation with the BSOA, but also with the newspapers, if there's a way that that link can be a little bit more public. And it may also be a link that we need to just advertise online more than anything else. This is the kind of multi-generations of how to get information to people of different generations. And that's a challenge. But we, the Joint Council can put some energy into this in the next weeks. Yes, Marty.
Well, I would suggest that you let real estate offices and HOA management teams know, and they can put out a letter to new people or what have you. With the links.
If that's, yep. I don't know if they're allowed to do that, Marty, but if they can, we can certainly, we know some. Jan has a question.
I sit on the Hidden Village board, and we can make an experiment with that if you want to.
Okay. Jan has a question or a thought.
Jan,
Jan, can you unmute yourself? Here.
I thought it was. Okay. At a minimum, I would suggest just getting our website out there, so at least people could have a place to go to look to see. And I haven't looked at the website lately, but I am assuming that there's information on the website about how to connect to the services. So that would be just a minimum. If that could be put out in the newspapers, that'd be great.
Any other thoughts or other questions that people have? Yes, Marielle.
Hey, I think it's a great idea to publicize. I would just be cautious about using the actual link or giving the login information, especially since this link doesn't have any password type. As long as you have the number, I would maybe say email us or send us a contact link online, because if you just leave all the information online, I've had accounts my friends have posted for meetings, and they get Zoom bombed, profanity, images, things like that. And so if you just give everyone all the login information anywhere, anyone can log in. So just a thought for that, to make it kind of a little private, like, oh, just give us your email or send us a message on the website, something like that, so that it doesn't just go out to the entire world with the login information.
Marielle, it's a good point. I'm sure everybody has heard about this, but it is a reality that we try to send out, we send out links to like our services, and that goes out to our Friday news list, which is a wide list, but it's still a fairly small list. But we wouldn't necessarily want to publish that direct link on our website. So it's strange times, how to make things known, but maybe not too known.
Do you use the same link every week as a repeating link?
I believe, Pat, help me with that. I think we have sent them up sent them up maybe 4 to 6 weeks in advance. So there may be a link that works for a number of weeks, and then we set up a new link. So it's not forever, but it's more than a once a week link.
Well, the way to get around that photobombing issue, and it is an issue, is to set up not do a repetitive link.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I would suggest doing a new link every week, but.
Any other thoughts about other parts of our life together and thinking about the coming of the fall? Or should I hand this over to Pat? All right, go for it, Pat.
Okay, well, I will just add one thing, a question that wasn't asked that I thought might be, and since I have an answer for it, I might as well give it to you. So here's the answer to the question that nobody asked. One of the biggest things that I think we've decided to work on immediately, well, first thing is, of course, the worship issues that Miriam mentioned, because we're rapidly running out of summer. We've got to decide what we're going to do this winter. we've got to have a lot of planning about what to do if things get better and what to do if things get worse. But so that's something that we'll be on right away. But the new item that we're going to launch at our joint council meeting this Tuesday, day after tomorrow, is something about staying connected during a pandemic. And we're really concerned about how we can improve our connectivity with each other, no matter if it gets better or if it gets worse, or if it stays the same, and how we're going to do that. So that's on our agenda. We're probably going to need some help on this. I think this is almost like when we did our strategic plan. Remember, we were able to all meet in a room and get our flip charts out and our magic markers, and we came up with a great, we came up with our 6 goals and a whole bunch of objectives and action plans. Well, we're not going to be able to do it that way, but I think we want to have a lot of participation in trying to figure out how we stay connected for now and what the new normal will be and how we'll stay connected then. So let us know if you are interested in helping with that, and by sending an email and I don't know, Leslie, are you trying to say something, or are you just fiddling with your computer?
I am trying to say something. I'm actually folding laundry while I'm talking to you. I personally have felt very disconnected throughout this time, and part of that's just my personality, for better or worse. And so I'm raising my hand saying, I'd love to be involved in something like this. And it would help draw me in, particularly, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen here. That's what we're all saying. So it could get better, it could get worse. So anyway, I'm in.
Leslie.
Thanks.
Okay, if there isn't anything more about staying connected, I'd like to do a little financial update. And I'm going to do it by sharing the screen and show you some good news, but try to. So I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to slideshow this. So this is a chart that the Joint Council has used for quite a few years now. And so some of you have seen it, but if you haven't seen it, I'll kind of show you, if I can find my cursor. Where is it? There it is. So what we have down here on the bottom is we have the budgeted income by month. So you can see the income, and across here, these are the budgeted amounts of income that we expect according to past giving patterns. And then in the red this is what we've actually received through July. And then we do the same with the expense. So this is the expense that we thought we would have based on past giving patterns, and these are the actual expenses so far this year. And then if you take the income minus the expense, that's a net income number. So you can see that in January we had a very nice positive one, but most of the months it's been, it's true for our congregation, most of the months are negative. So we start out okay, and then we eat away, and this black line represents the net income. The cumulative net income, it then takes the first month and adds the second month and third month. So the black line is what we thought and budgeted would happen. And this is typical of all of the past years. If you haven't seen this before, around midsummer, right about now, we normally go negative, and we start funding everything with savings that we have in the bank. And we don't recover until, well, lately it's been in November and December, and a lot of it is at Christmas. Well, now, this year, what happened is we were pretty much on track. You can see the red. Well, January is exactly right because I don't do this until after January numbers are in. But we were pretty close in February and we were pretty close in March. But of course, everybody knows what happened on March 15th. And it was amazing to me that in April, we had a really big giving month. You can see the 23,621 that people, I think people were worried about the congregation. Services were suspended. And so I think that in general, checks were coming in the mail. There were special gifts. A lot of people who really weren't pledgers were responding to what the pandemic was doing to our church. So that popped us right up there nicely. And then we've been sort of on track. Now you can see that in May, we were a little better than budget, but it went back down to normal levels. And in June, the same way. And in July, a little bit less. Well, if you track this and you just did a little thing, it might say that we won't go negative until maybe October or November, or it might say that we won't go negative at all. And because it's possible that some people are prepaying, that some people gave gifts. In fact, I know it's a fact that some people gave gifts that they might normally do in December, and they just got around to it earlier because of what's happening. The other thing that I would say, it's a good thing that we are where we are, because if you look down here, we're expecting about $28,000, $27,000 in November each month, November and December. If I doubt very much that that's going to happen because of, I don't know how we'll be meeting, but all of the people that come to a Christmas Eve service, we may not see all of them. So I think it's really good news that we're where we are here. And my advice is that we need to save it up because we may need it later in the year. So the 7-month income and expense, just so you can see what's happened. I'll go down to this chart first. The 7-month budget is across here. So for 7 months, we budgeted $115,000 in income, and we've had $140,000 in expenses. So we've spent more than $24,500 than we had income in. But what I didn't call your attention to on the last chart was we've had a number of people that prepay their 2000 pledge in December of 2019. And this has been happening for about 3 years. And that amount was about $25,000. So that $24,000 negative net income is just using the money that people gave us last year to spend this year, and it's not a problem. The 7-month actual, you can see we actually had more income than we budgeted, as the previous chart showed. We had $128,000 there. Our expenses were $132,000. So actually, we're only $3,800 actually off of breaking even. So what we thought was going to be $24,500, it was actually only $3,800. So that is really good news. And this up here are the reasons. Pledges, for people who made pledges, they're pretty much on track through 7 months. But members that didn't pledge, we have a few members that just don't, for some reason, don't pledge. Many different reasons, I suppose. And those donations are way up. Cash and visitors, of course, are down. Special and designated gifts, we've had a few, but they're up from what we anticipated. Our expenses are down because we didn't do VBS, that's an expense. We didn't go to conventions, that's an expense. And our operating costs in general are less. We still pay rents, but most of the other travel and other things that we normally do, we're not doing. So that's the reason for that. And I'll show you one more slide before I go to questions. This is about our balance sheet. I said that every year we fund our deficits through savings, and we're very fortunate congregation to have a pretty big savings account. On July 31st, we have $132,885 in the bank. They're in three different accounts. One is our checking account. You can see it there. Our money market account at First Security Bank is $28,000. And then we have $92,000, almost 93, at the ELCA Mission Investment Fund, which is a ELCA fund that uses the savings that we have there to make loans to churches for mission work. So we think that's a good idea to have that money there, and we also get a competitive interest rate. And then just one more thing. Many of you probably don't know that on May 1st, at the urging of our synod and diocese and other churches in our vicinity, we applied, well, before May 1st, we applied for the Payroll Protection Program loan, the PPP loan that you've probably heard about. And we applied for it and sent it in, and on May 1st, they sent us a check for $24,700. It's a loan, and it covers the continued salary. We only have one full-time employee, which is what it covers. So that's Pastor Miriam. And it covers our rent. So we have rents for the office and we have rents for the chapel. And the 24/7 came about because you take a look at what that costs us to fund it for 60 days, and that was what it was. Because it's a loan, we haven't included that in any of the income numbers that you were just looking at, because it's a loan and we might have to pay it back. So it's recorded on the balance sheet as cash, because the cash is in these numbers here on this screen. The cash is in these numbers, but we also record it here as a liability because it's a loan. But on August 1st, we applied for loan forgiveness using the government's loans. I mean, all of this paperwork is really a lot of fun. And we have not had any feedback so far, but it sounds like we fully qualify for forgiveness. And so we are hoping that in the near future that will be forgiven. And then that $24,700 will be shown on the income statement. So that's another $24,700 that wasn't on the chart and probably will be before the end of the year. So I'm gonna get out of here and go back here. So what about that? Some good news, I guess, but happy to answer any questions. And I see one from Marty. Go ahead. Go ahead, Marty. But you're muted.
Is there a way that you were looking into being able to donate weekly, like through Venmo or something like that, so that those of us who are distant can make a pass the plate donation?
We implemented almost I think in April. It's called eGive. It's online giving, and it's accessible through our website. And it's also the little button that helps you get there is on the Friday news every week.
Okay,
so
I've missed it.
Yeah, all you got to do is push that button, and you can use a credit card, or you can use an ACH from your bank. And we have I think about 15 of our members that are doing that. And about 5 of those 15 are just doing it on a regular basis. You can set it up so that it does it once a month or once a week or whatever. Thanks for that question, because a lot of people have missed it. Who else?
Pat, Assuming that the loan forgiveness goes through and that'll be that 24/7 will be credited as income, is there a way on from an accounting standpoint to carry that just a little bit separate? Because there you have a kind of a one-time thing that could skew your year-to-year numbers as you try to manage it as you go down the road.
Yeah. I appreciate that, Mike. And we're going to have a separate category for it so that anybody looking at the income statement will see that that is what it is. Yeah. So for sure we'll keep it, in its own little space, I would say. I'm not sure it'll be an account, but it'll be a line item. Who else? Well, while you're thinking, I would just say now it's already middle of August. It's almost September. Jenna is still, I think, is still in the park, and she hasn't said anything, but Jenna is going to be heading up the stewardship program again, and we're starting to think about that. And I'll just say to you, everybody here, because you are people that are willing to do a Zoom meeting for a summer meeting are the backbone of our congregation. And we're going to need to step up, I think, in this next year because of the uncertainty for one thing, but I think for us to know what we can expect from the congregation in terms of commitments, and that pledging is a commitment or a promise, that what we're going to do next year, it's going to be more important than ever for us to know where we think we're going to be. So, Jenna, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, let me just say, as far as stewardship, Jane McCarthy will be working with me on it also again. And we just would love, as Miriam said, to engage as many people as possible. So we had a great group last year that made some calls. So we'll be in touch with all of you. But then if there are others, please just email me or Jane, and we'll start planning for our October mailing on stewardship.
Well, I don't see any other questions. So Miriam, shall I pass it back to you for a closing or final comments?
Yeah, just because Pat gave all that good news, I just want to make sure that I put a little bit of my nervousness too forward. One of the things I've talked to a number of people about is I've been here now, we're working on our 5th year. It'll be 5 years in January. And over that time, in a time and a place where, across the country, mainline congregations of all varieties tend to be shrinking. And we know the numbers, we know the statistics, and we know that basically the baby boomers of our country are continuing to support churches, and anybody my age or younger may or may not be involved in the church. But often, if they are involved in a church, it's when this works for me, but I don't yet have a regular pattern or necessarily a regular pattern of giving, that may or may not be possible for some people. But that's just a reality that's way bigger than Big Sky. But I do feel like one of the challenges of right now is that it is in-person programming and worship and events that do end up engaging some families and children. And it is hard when those things are not possible. And so it is just a deep prayer for me right now, and I really ask you to join in that prayer with me to say, what are the best ways that we can continue to reach out to members of our community, whether people that have been a part of All Saints for a while, who've come in and out over the last few years, and then folks who might be interested in a church as they're moving here. How do we be accessible and available to those folks during this time? So anyway, I just want to put that out there. I think you all know about that reality, but I'm always looking for thoughts and ideas. So there's one more thought. Any other thoughts or final comments or questions? Then I'd like us to close this meeting with the Lord's Prayer. And you're welcome to stay muted or not muted. We can all be a cacophony of sound if we want to. But let's pray this prayer that holds our church together. We pray it gathered by the Holy Spirit, the prayer that Jesus taught us. Our Father, who art
Who
in
art
heaven,
in heaven, hallowed be
thy
thy
name.
name. Thy
Kingdom come,
come,
thy will be
thy will
done
be done
on earth
on
as it
earth
is in
as it is
heaven.
in heaven.
Give us
Give
this
us this
day our daily
our
bread,
daily bread,
and forgive us
and
our
forgive us our
trespasses,
trespasses,
as we
as
forgive
we forgive
those who
those who
trespass against
trespass
us.
against us.
Lead us
And lead
not
us
into
not into
temptation,
temptation,
but
but
deliver us
deliver
from
us
evil.
from evil.
For thine is
For
the
thine is the
kingdom,
kingdom,
and the
and the
power,
power,
and the
and
glory,
the glory,
forever and
forever
ever.
and ever.
Amen.
Amen.
May the Lord bless us and keep us. May the Lord's face shine on us and be gracious to us. And may the Lord look upon us with favor and give us peace now and always. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you all. Look at this. It's 2:02. We did so well. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Jeff, Pat, and Miriam.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and everyone
Thank
stay
you.
safe.
Yes.
I hear it's crazy out there.
Yeah.
Health and
Yes, it is.
safety.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Hey, one thing I'd like to add before we
Yes.
go, we
Yeah,
really
Mike.
do owe a big thanks to Bonnie, who
Yes.
has sort of, we've all kind of been so blessed by her
Yeah.
willingness to wrap her arms around us musically and just her presence. So
Goodbye.
I'm sure I echo everybody's sentiments and thank you so very much, Bonnie.
Yes. Very much.
All
so.
right.
Okay, I guess we.
Okay.
Bye.
Pastor Miriam,
Yes, Marielle.
I got your message and I've been trying to figure out a good date because school starts soon.
I know.
And I was wondering if maybe actually Labor Day might not be a bad day because most people will have it off, or at least some people will have it off.
Oh, on Monday? Yeah, I think that's an option. How many people, I mean, in terms of the people that you're thinking of, are you thinking about folks that would go, camping for the weekend or go away for the weekend? Or would that be fine? I mean,
I haven't really thought about that. I don't know. I feel like once school gets started, I don't know if I'm going to be super busy or.
Yeah. No, I think it would be great. It would be great to set that in. The truth is we could just set that date and see how it works, see how many people we can get on board. Would you want to do it in the evening or do it in the late afternoon? You were thinking like 5-ish or something?
Originally, but now I'm thinking it would be better to, if not on a Monday, I would probably do a Sunday.
Do a Sunday? Yeah.
A Sunday kind of afternoon kind of thing.
Uh-huh. The only thing for that date, particularly for me, is I will be doing a wedding that Sunday afternoon of Labor Day weekend. So it doesn't, I do kind of want to be part of this, but I don't know if I can do it that weekend.
Okay.
But what about August 30th? Would that be an option?
Do you mean the Sunday?
The Sunday, or we're going to pull some people. We might be pulling some people to be a part of the Gallatin River Task Force cleanup that weekend, but that would be kind of during the day, and I'm not saying, I don't think this would necessarily be the same folks. I'm just trying to think if you're thinking a Sunday or a Saturday.
That might work well, actually, because I go back to work on the 24th, but it's only your work day, so I wouldn't have students yet at that point, and that would be kind of nice.
So thinking about the 30th, that
Yeah.
like a late afternoon, the 30th?
Yeah, so if church is at 10, maybe at 1 or 3.
Okay,
like
yeah, something later. Let me figure out, we're we're talking about, again, I just sent out a thing to the Gallatin River Task Force people about us taking a little group of people after church. So then I would think the later would be better. So like 3 o'clock would be a good time, or even 4 o'clock, 3 or 4 would be great. But I think that could be great. Do you know if you have access? Do you have access to it to show it?
Yeah, I think it's on Netflix.
Okay, so you'd be able to do it. We could do it on a share.
Yeah, so I could use either, I haven't checked in on my Zoom account to see if I still have the more than 40 minutes for free.
We can put it on our Zoom account, which can be longer than that, and then you can share your screen in that.
And alternately, I have Google Meet as a teacher as well.
Oh yes, so you could do that too.
I am old hat at Google Meet. Yeah. The 13th is on Netflix, so I'll be able to access that.
Okay. Well, I would love, if you're willing to think about the 30th, that would be great. And I should know within a couple of days if there's anything I should know about that Gallatin River Task Force, but then we should put it out as an option. I don't know if you have if you could give me a couple of sentences that's just, this is what this movie is about. We'd like to watch this together and have a discussion. And then I can put that out there and try to talk it up. That would be great.
And I have been doing more thinking this summer about other things that would follow the movie discussion.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I didn't want to be all books or all movies. I purchased 2 books now that are social justice books, and I know that the Bozeman Library has library kits, and they have one for white fragility, but there's like 60 or more holds on that book right now, and so I don't know. I mean, I'm not opposed to buying stuff, and most people probably would end up buying stuff because you can't get it at the local libraries right now, at least out here in this area. But there's one book that I thought we'd just read a section of, and I bought it so that I could photocopy it and send PDFs to people if they can't afford it or whatever. Yeah. And then it's not a whole book; it's just a chapter of the book or section.
That'd be good. And the other thing, Marielle, is what we can do with book stuff is, I mean, we have a certain amount of Christian formation, education, forum money, So what we can say is, if you have any issue with accessing this book, we will purchase it for it. Like the church will purchase it for a few people. It'll just be a few people, but we can do that purchasing if there's any sort of issue.
That's a good idea, because I don't know how many people from the church would want to go, but I know we had a little in the anti-racism meeting, so there's some interest. And then among my friends, there were a few that were interested. I haven't really posted about it lately because I just didn't pick a date for 13th forever. And then I've been also mulling over like what books and what things to watch and do besides that, because I don't want it to be all just reading all the time, or so.
Well, let's think about the 30th as a date for the 13th showing. And I will, as soon as I hear more, I'll get back to you about whether it seems like 3 makes sense, if that's a good time, or if it could be earlier in the day. And if you want to just put together a couple of sentences about what it's about, basically for people that don't know anything, and wouldn't they want to join us to watch this and to have a discussion, and then we can put it out there and see who comes, see who's willing to be on board. But that sounds great to me. And I realize it is good. It would be good to start this before, because I know you're going to start school pretty soon and be. How are you feeling, Marielle, about this whole 50-50? I mean, how is it?
I think that it's going to be double the work for teachers, because we have to create in-person lessons and virtual stuff. And this way we'll only be able to cover half the curriculum. If we're only meeting with half the class each day, it'll take twice as long to cover the same amount of time. I'm also concerned, I know there are kids with active cases right now, and who knows how many of the kids are teachers, myself included, maybe have asymptomatic cases, but we could give it to someone who would then have symptoms, so it's just, I don't know how long we're going to meet before we then have to shut everything down. There was a Georgia school that opened and they only made it 6 days, and now they had to shut down. So
it's interesting that you are aware of active cases right now among some of the student population. I mean, I'm not surprised. Of course, I think there's active cases that are known about and that aren't known about. So it's a challenge.
So, I mean, I'm excited to see my kids, and I'm excited to start a new way of teaching. I've done 3 professional developments this summer on a new methodology, and I'm really excited to try it out. I'm scared a little bit. I'm nervous about the in-person. Like, I wake up dreaming about it, like being anxious. So clearly my brain is thinking about it, even if I'm not I consciously try to avoid it because it's just stressful. Right. And we don't really have a choice, right? The parents all want us to go back so they don't have to pay for babysitters or worry about their kids during the day.
Yeah.
Although I would feel safer if it were online, but.
Yeah, I do hear you. You're right on all of those fronts, Marielle. Because I hear it from parents who just kind of can't understand why we wouldn't be in person. I'm like, there's a lot of reasons. And we may start this and maybe in a month and then we won't be, This is not like you can't organize your life anyway. So to the future.
Yeah.
Have you had meetings with other faculty members yet about how things are going to go? Or are you doing those all on Zoom right now? How is it working?
We haven't had any meetings. There was a board meeting last week, but I didn't attend. But we haven't had any staff meetings whatsoever this summer at all about this. We got sent a plan in mid-July, and it was like, tell us what you think. And the plan was that phase 1 would be all virtual. So I thought, oh, that'll be okay to start the year virtual. At least now I know what I'm looking at. But then they decided something different based on community and parent feedback. And we had very little say. We could put in comments for the plan that was proposed, but in the end, the board will vote the way it votes. So that's a little stressful that the teachers union and that teachers aren't really seeming to be hugely taken into account in this decision, because they can say all they want that kids don't contract COVID at higher rates, but they spread it just like everybody. So at least I don't teach lower elementary kids who don't understand the idea of a mask yet. So it could be worse. But,
I hear you. I know. I think about these 7-year-olds that are like sticking their fingers in their noses and like, how do you tell kids to, I don't know. That's a challenge. That's a real challenge.
And there was a church in Bozeman. I was dog sitting recently and I drove past it during the day to get some lunch. And there was a summer camp going on, and all the kids who had masks on had them on their chins. Not a single child or adult staff member had the mask on correctly. And that just makes me so concerned to go back in the fall. But I am excited to see my kiddos again. I will say that. If it has to be in person, I'm very excited to see them again.
Well, good. I'm glad that's there. I am watching, and it sounds like they're actually doing some work on those habitat houses too. I saw the second one start to go up. I was like, oh, maybe this is going to start to happen. So
really, I'm not holding my breath. But I also have been a little hypocritical because I said, oh, summer vacation, I'll have plenty of time to help out, and I haven't gone in a single time because I've been hiking and reading and dog sitting, and I just haven't been thinking so much about that. But I'm going to try this next week to at least get out one time and then try to do kind of like weekly or bi-weekly volunteering somehow.
Well, I'm glad to hear you have been reading and hiking. And has it been some good times this summer?
Oh, a wonderful summer. Yes.
Good. I'm glad, Marielle.
Pandemic, all things considered, it's been really relaxing.
Good. I'm really glad. Good. And have you been seeing, I know you had a friend that came out here to travel and visit with you. Have you been otherwise doing stuff with other people around here, or have you been mostly doing stuff on your own, or what do you think?
I've been out a couple times. There's a girl from Bible study that we're friends, and I've met up with her a couple times to do the bigger hikes out here, like Lava Lake, and then we did Beehive Semi recently. And then we're supposed to do Storm Castle tomorrow. So she has Sundays and Mondays off.
Yep.
And so during the summer, Mondays are perfect days for me to hike. And so we've been out a couple times. Yeah, so that's been really nice. But I also hike alone. I carry bear spray and bells and all that stuff. So yeah, it's been
that's great. Well, Storm Castle is a great hike. So I hope you get to go and enjoy it tomorrow. It's really.
Did you take the kiddos when you did the hike? Because I hear it's pretty brutal.
No, you know, I would say it's not brutal. It's just that if it's hot, you know, like if you wait for later in the day, there's not a lot of shade protection. But it's just, you know, basically you're going up and then it's all down. So it's, you know, but it's only a few miles up. You know, it's not too bad. I wouldn't say if you just did Beehive Basin, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
It's just an elevation gain. I bought a hiking book out here and it tells you know, the distance, elevation gain and all of that. And it's a lot of elevation and not a lot of time.
Not a lot of space, but I don't think it feels super steep at any point. I feel like the trail is good and it, you know, there's a lot of switchbacks and just you know, little by little, so you're not so crazy. So
have you had an okay summer with lots of outdoor time and the kiddos?
We have. I mean, in some ways, because so many things got canceled, you know, we have done, you know, little 24-hour camping trips, and we've done longer trips, and we've done some backpacking with the girls, and I'm very grateful for living in Montana during a pandemic. I'll tell you that. So,
yeah.
You know, I'm all too aware you've lived in New York City, you know, like you don't want to live in New York City right now. So probably a lot of the places that you've lived, you know, so I'm grateful for this, but also I carry some, you know, amount of anxiety about what this year is going to hold. So I am not optimistic about it going away in a couple months. And I know there are some people that would like to hold on to that.
Yeah, it seems like we could go into a decrease when there's that low season, the slump, you know, between summer and winter. I was talking to a friend recently and they said, well, you realize it's going to get cold soon and that's going to force everyone indoors. So we can't go outside as much anymore. We're all going to be inside enclosed. And then it gets cold, and apparently the virus does well in cold weather. And then when winter hits, it's going to be ski season again. And if the resort opens, which they probably want to financially, it's just going to bring in all types of out-of-staters again. I mean, our cases were like 0 every day until, you know, tourism started. So
Yep, you got it, Marielle. You really do. So we're going to just have to see how things go. And I mean, that's definitely the questions that our joint council are going to ask about. And it won't just be a one-time question. You know, maybe we'll feel like, okay, maybe at the end of September or beginning of October, we can move worship inside. But is that going to be, are we going to be able to sustain that? And I mean, I can't even imagine right now. Christmas Eve services are crazy for all, you know,
oh my God. I arrived like early and I was standing in the back of the lobby. It was crazy.
They're crazy. You know, and that's every congregation. I mean, the Catholic Church meets up on the mountain. They get like 500, 600 people. And, you know, we get in 2 services at least 300 or 400 people. And I just think, well, we can't do that this year. We can't do that. So what are we going to do? So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But anyway, well, I appreciate that. Well, I have this little note that afternoon of the 30th, we'll try to do this 13th showing. And I will be in touch with you about that. And you be in touch with me if you have some pithy words to say about the film or about a discussion. So,
okay.
All right. Awesome. All right. Great. Well, do you have any plans for the rest of the day, or are you taking it easy? What are you doing?
Yes. So I signed up for an online trivia for Harry Potter. And so I've been all week taking notes so that I can do well in the trivia. So it's coming up in about 3 hours. No, yeah, somewhere around there. So I still have about a third of the book to read and get through this afternoon. So that's kind of my afternoon plan, and then I'll do the trivia and
That's awesome.
then be able to relax.
When we did, I've read the Harry Potter books with a few different times, but just recently this summer when I was on a road trip, we had the audiobook of Harry Potter 1 and listened to it for maybe, 3 or 4 hours. And I was like, oh, it's so good. So I hope you're having fun reading it.
It's classic Harry Potter. It's great.
It's good. Well, have fun with Harry Potter and good luck on the trivia. I want to hear how you do.
Thanks. All right, I'll see you around. Thanks for staying after to chat with me.
Okay. No, thank you, Marielle. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Yeah.